to a new episode of Photography Behind the Scenes. It's been a while since the last time I made a video from a session with the Lumix GX80. In this one, I'm out early in the morning to catch the sunrise. I came here to this area just at the edge of town where there are increasingly more fields. This is where I got my first shot. I had the 14 to 140mm lens on the camera and tried to capture the beautiful color gradients in the distance where the sun was going to come up. Coincidentally, a car was approaching my frame, so I included it in the shot. Then I walked along the road and found a smaller path off to the side, so I went there. As I was walking past a patch of wheat or something, I saw a crane popping up above the top line of the wheat. This looked like a great opportunity for a minimalistic composition, and this is what I got. I think this is beautiful. I love the minimalism and how the photograph is reduced to so little elements but still keeps an interest. Next, a little further on the path, I found another composition. Unfortunately, it's not really visible on the GoPro, but there was a power pole in the far distance, and I tried to compose that in front of the beautiful morning colors. This is what I got. I like it. It's pretty cool how the mountains build these different layers of varying contrast and interact with the power pole. Then, just a bit further, I found a little group of houses which I thought could be a cool subject. This is what I got. As you can see, this is brutally pushing the dynamic range, but I think it looks good here. The photograph has this rose tint, which gives it a sort of dreamy feeling.
It's a lot of power poles.
Then, in the far distance, I found some more power poles, which looked promising for another photo. I think it's pretty cool. It shows the clash between the natural beauty of the sunrise and the silhouetted trees and the silhouettes of the man-made power poles.
I'm really liking this house here with the, I don't know, tent shed and that huge round, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to get the right angle with the tree.
I tried to balance everything out in my composition and got this. I like it, I think the composition works, and I love that tree in front of the house, which adds just another point of interest, but it still doesn't clutter the photograph.
Oh, sun's coming out.
Then, I was walking along this path and approaching the group of houses I just shot previously. The sun had come up by now and gave them this beautiful backlight, which I tried to capture. The photo is okay, but doesn't feel clean to me. I think it's the composition that isn't sitting quite right with me. It just doesn't feel right. Then I had walked past this power pole, and looking at it from this angle, I loved how the sunlight was hitting it from the side, so I attempted another super minimalistic photograph. I love this shot. I guess you know that I'm pretty fond of these extremely minimal photos which are reduced to only a few elements. They often have this graphical feeling, which also comes across nicely here. As you can see, I also played around with the colors here and shifted the overall tint strongly into this pastel pink look, which I'm liking a lot for its dreamy and romantic vibe. Next, I walked a bit closer to the houses and saw a car that had this sweet glow in the windows from the morning sun. The photograph is okay. I don't particularly like it. It's just not so photographic, meaning that it's just a bit too random for my taste, and it seems more like an everyday snapshot.
I'm quite sure where to go.
After walking quite a bit without finding another composition, I eventually came across this road sign which I got tempted to photograph. I got both a horizontal and a vertical shot, which came out alright. I prefer the horizontal version because it shows a little more of the road that continues behind the sign. Then, in the far distance, I saw a mountain which I enjoyed the shape of, so I zoomed in all the way to 140mm to get that a bit closer and got this shot. This turned out alright, I do enjoy it, but it doesn't feel special for me yet. I think something I'm missing here is another interesting element in the sky, such as clouds with a colourful tint from the sunlight or something. Then, just a little further, I tried to get a shot of another power pole, but this photo didn't turn out nicely. I think it's a bit boring. Then I came to the edge of the field, which was the beginning of a small group of houses. I walked up back here aiming to find a composition with that car. I found an interesting angle and shot this here. I like how this turned out. It's got a lot of stuff to look at and seems balanced to me. Then I walked just past the car where I found this trailer and all sorts of things lying around here. There was quite a mess going on here, which I tried to capture, and I think it works quite nicely. Then I headed back to the road, and on the way I came across this shed which had this beautiful glow from the sun which I tried to shoot. This came out alright. I like the feeling it expresses, but overall it's a little random, but also it's got a lot of details I can appreciate, so I don't really know what to think of this photo. Next I got another photo of the shed, but this time over the window here, which was also glowing thanks to the sunlight from behind. This photograph is much less random, and I think it's cool how we get to peek into the shed and just interpret the photo. I enjoy the many hints it gives to create this balance between space for interpretation and complete uncertainty. It shows just enough, I find. And then around the corner I got a shot of the house I've been circling here. I love the low morning light hitting the walls here, and how this photo strongly emits this sense of a slow awakening of this place. Then I crossed the road and found this street lamp with a mirror beneath, which I thought could work really nicely for another minimalistic composition.
Yes, I think that's the one.
This turned out beautifully. I think it really has a unique romantic aesthetic. The composition unfortunately isn't as minimalistic as I hoped it to be, although I think it works nevertheless. Next I came to this space next to a house with this box of some sort standing here. I thought this could be an interesting subject for another photo, and it turned out okay. It's not particularly good, but I still like it. Then just a little further, I found this gate in between two houses which caught my attention. I like how the houses and the gate create this symmetry, and the leading lines lead into the middle, which basically just consists of the background, which is the landscape lit by the beautiful sunlight. Then past that house, I came to this front parking area of another house which caught me because it looked so clean and tidy. And in the morning light, everything looked a little soft here, so I got this shot. It's closer to a detail shot than to a wide shot of the space, but I think it still conveys what I enjoy about the scene here. Then I walked into the area a little to get closer to that trailer back there, which I thought could be an interesting subject to interact with the space here. I'm fond of this photo. It neatly combines the clean space, the trailer, but also the landscape in the background. And then I turned to the right to get a slightly closer detail shot of the wall here, which also turned out quite nicely. Then I left that space and came to this parking area from where I could see the top of the house there. I thought it was cool how the house peaks above the garage roof here and creates a minimalistic composition. The photo is alright, however, I'm not too sure about the large negative space of the upper half. Then I crossed a river here, and this place might seem familiar to you because I was here before to shoot, but in completely different weather conditions. Last time it was completely foggy, and so here's a comparison of the same photo in two vastly different conditions. After a slightly longer period of walking without finding any shots, I came across this sign with the bin attached to it. I tried to get a photograph by using this as the subject, and it did kind of work, but it's rather boring, I find. So at this point, I thought I was done for the day because I had walked quite a bit again without finding another composition, and here I was already quite close to where I had started. But I came across this pile of logs and decided to photograph these. However, this one didn't come out so well. I think the lighting here is the reason for this. It's coming from behind me, so shining straight at the logs, which seems to create this rather undynamic lighting. Next, I came to the motorway next to which I was parked, but before finishing this morning of photography, I got one last shot looking straight down the motorway into the sunlight, which resulted in this very high-key photograph, which I think actually looks pretty good. So that was it, the last photograph of the morning. I think this was a fun session with a few good results. My personal favorite of the day is this one. I love the graphical look of it, the minimalism and the pink color that gives off this beautiful, warm and romantic feeling. I'm curious to know your opinion. Which is your personal favorite? Let me know in the comments. I look forward to reading your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Photography Behind the Scenes. If so, I'd appreciate a like on the video. It helps the channel to grow, and consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and I'll hopefully see you again next week in the next video. Until then, goodbye.